Ladies and gentlemen, it is showtime. Please enjoy the show.
It's the corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We got to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
We are excited to announce this season, Chief Concerns is teaming up with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, to bring even more excitement to Chiefs football. Whether you're backing Mahomes to have over 4,500 passing yards, riding the over on Kelsey's 4.5 touchdowns, or picking weekly same-game parlays, FanDuel has you covered with easy-to-use features, fast payouts, and tons of ways to win. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and make every snap count. And don't forget to tune into our weekly Chiefs same-game parlay show every week during the regular season. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Monday Morning Tight End. I'm Marcus Dasher. Right there is our guy, former Chiefs tight end, Jason Dunn. JD, how are you doing, brother?
What is going on, Marcus? I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. You know what? It's an amazing Monday evening. And so, of course, anytime we come back from the weekend watching some good football, watching these teams play in the preseason and what everybody's been doing, obviously there's a lot of conversation between what this team looks like, what the NFL looks like, how the season's going to actually play out, because there's some really good football that we've seen from guys that obviously going to make the 53-man roster, but also, too, there's going to be a little bit more of contenders than what I expected. I mean, there's some really good football out there. They're showing some guys that's just really doing some things. And so it's encouraging, of course, for them and their fan base. But, for us, man, what we do, we cover the Chiefs more than anything else. And so for us, we didn't quite get to do what we wanted to do, obviously against, the Seattle Seahawks. That was somewhat of a rough outing, if you will. But there's a lot to take away from it. It really is. And so we will just kind of, go through what we thought we seen. And obviously we got into it during the post-game show, talking about some of the things that we did see out there. And this is usually Monday morning, or the morning tight end, as we call the show, is sort of like my breakdown at that moment, right? Of like what the teams did, position groups, how they performed. But actually today, we actually have a different treat, much better treat than just hearing OJD talk about football and some of the things he's seen out there for the game. We actually have probably one of the best coaches, one of the best men that's been a part of the NFL world for a long time, over 5 decades. And he has been graciously accepted to come on our show for tonight. And I tell you what, man, I am humbled by him accepting our invitation to come out. And I've been talking to Coach for a while. We actually part of this whole Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame deal here in Kentucky. And so, I've gone against Coach and his defense. I've known Coach for a long time, since I played. But, with our whole deal here, the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's always good to see Coach when he comes in, talking about some of the things he's doing. He just went on vacation. He was just telling me a good story about where he went to. And I have Coach touch on that a little bit when he gets in here into the chat. But we have one of the most legendary coaches, like I said, of the NFL. I tell you, if you know anything about defense, anything about the NFL, his name always has to be in the conversation about one of the top coaches. Okay. And how, not just how coaches feel about it, but also from the player standpoint as well. So he's a guy that's just humble. I want to call him soft-spoken, but very stern in what he does and how he carries himself. That is his demeanor always. a jovial guy, right? But you know he's a straight shooter about what it is that he does and how he feels about his players and people and things. So this is going to be a great treat for us tonight. So with that being said, Marcus, you know what I always do? I always say hi to the people that's coming into the chat. Because when more people coming in, I see people just starting to open up the door now coming in. So I see Faye Smith, Mike Brennan, Will, Jason Tarbox, Tramview, Greg Rose, Sid McBride, About Time, Cole Keller, Richard Cooper, Justin Blackwell, Susan is here, my sweetie, Linda Hunter, Deshaun Hammonds. Let me see who else we got in here, man. Man, there's going to be a lot of people coming through tonight, man. And I see it just keep pop coming in. So when y'all come in, listen, welcome. Okay, y'all going to enjoy this edition, this episode for tonight. But with that being said, Marcus, if you would allow me to, okay. But I would like to introduce the head coach, Romeo Crennel. Like I said, 5 decades coaching here in the NFL. One of the most respected coaches in this time. See, and I had to pull up, man. It was like 4 short sheets of paper of cachet credentials of this man. And it kept printing. I was just like, man, we got to cut off for a second, man. We'll be here forever talking about great coach.
You didn't even mention that yet. 5-time Super Bowl champ. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. So we know that, man. He's been a head coach of, the Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans, assistant coach with New York Giants, New England Patriots, New York Jets. I mean, we talking about coach has, like I said, 50 years. I mean, I don't know people that do 50 years of anything, to be honest with you. I mean, 50 years in coaching the NFL, that's unheard of. But also, too, man, he's a Western Kentucky native. And y'all don't know anything about, Western Kentucky and the Hilltoppers, okay? That's where Coach, kind of made all his bones and getting started on everything. And so I'm from Eastern, from EKU, right? And I almost had a chance to go down to Western. I don't know if Coach knows this or not, okay? But Harbaugh got me down down there to Western, and I was like, you almost got me. Then I went to EKU, talked to Roy Kidd, and Roy Kidd had those rings sitting up in front of me, okay? And Roy Kidd was like, listen, you come here, Jason, you're going to get one of these. And I was sold from that point. I was sold off. But I tell you what, Harbaugh called me. He said, Jason, I thought you was going to come down here to Western Kentucky, become a Hilltopper. I said, Coach, look, and I've had a lot of people that reached out to me. My brothers and sisters went out to Western, but I think Eastern is my place because I had a couple of brothers and sisters up here too. And I'm getting the word that these rings mean something. So no hard feelings, man. I always gave Coach a hug and stuff anyway. But Romeo comes from there. So we'll talk about that as well. But just talking that, I can be all day speaking about the accolades that has been dawned on him. He actually was recipient of the Blank Collier Award that we put out for, talking about his character on and off the field. And it was, without a doubt, an award that was well-deserved. I couldn't think of anybody else more deserving of an award like this that speaks volumes about his history, what he's meant to the players, what he meant to the community, other than Romeo Crennel. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Coach. Some call him Rack. I call him Coach Crennel, Romeo, where art thou? I got former head coach of Kansas City Chiefs, Romeo Crennel. So,
hey, Jason, Marcus, how you guys doing?
Coach, we're doing fine. We're doing fabulous. We're doing fabulous. And matter of fact, we're actually a lot better now that you're all here on the show. And like I said, when you reached out to you, Coach, and you was trying to get your schedule put together, and I know you was traveling to other places and doing a lot of different things. You look, and you in vacation mode, you in retirement mode, right?
That's it. I am.
Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt that at all. I get it, So I've been kind of on that retirement myself, and I like my time to myself as well. But Coach, if I can get you here and get you in front of the people, because the people would absolutely, and you can see right here, everybody's wow, Coach Romeo, like they're going crazy right now in the chat just to have you on here, Coach. But welcome over here to the humble beginnings, and a lot of people don't know this, but like we are part of the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Coach, we just kind of had a good time, good opportunity to see one another every single year when we have that big shindig that Frank and all those guys has put on too. So, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. As you mentioned, I just got back from a short vacation.
Okay.
Some people ask me if I was crazy because I went to Iceland, and a lot of people don't consider that to be a vacation, but it was a first-time thing for me, and so that was kind of interesting just to see how a different part of the world lives, and what they go through a little bit. So I enjoyed that. All right. I also enjoyed those 50 years that you talked about. All right. Now, 10 of those were in college. Okay. 10 of those were in college. That Western and Eastern combat that we used to have all the time. All right. That was a great rivalry. You mentioned Coach Kidd. I think a lot of Coach Kidd because he did a great job there at Eastern. Just like Coach Fikes, who was at Western. We battle all the time each other. Now, I'm a little bit ahead of you, okay, because I was gone before you decided to come to Western to visit, okay, before you decided to visit. If I had been there, you would have been a hilltopper, okay?
I would be a hilltopper, Coach. You would have sold before that.
That's right.
Yeah, I believe that, though. I truly believe that. I know. Hey, and listen, and sometimes it's what it takes, just a conversation with a particular guy, right, a particular coach that can get you that passion in you just to grab you. And look, Coach, you have that about you, that magnetism. You really do. Okay, that's in your disposition, your character a lot. But somehow, whoever they put on me, Coach, didn't work. It didn't work.
Well, see, like I told you, I was gone. So
right.
if I had been there, I would have put somebody else on you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put 2 of them on you.
Right. So let me tell you this. This is a funny story on this, though. So I'm not going to name any names, okay, who the coach was. But when I told that coach who was recruiting me, okay, that I was going to Eastern, you know what he said to me? He said, Jason, I know you made a decision, but I want to let you know every year we're going to kick your tail. I'm just like, that. Like, ain't no congratulations, you're going over here. We appreciate it. He's like, nah, we're going to kick your tail every single year. I was like, wow.
Well, hey, Jason, he had to put that into your mind, okay? Because he knew what he's going to have to face.
Right. That's a fact. That's a fact on that. So, but yeah, now that was a funny part of it, Coach. Kind of tell a little bit, just kind of like your beginnings in the coaching world. Kind of what brought you into like the NFL, like that whole transition, when you started playing, getting into the coaching ranks and whatnot, if you will.
All right. So you want me to, how far back do you want me to go now? Like you said, 50 years is a long time.
50 years is a long time. So we quick origin story, like how you started out with things. So,
Okay. Well, first of all, quickly, my father was a military guy. And so we moved around quite a bit. And I ended up at Fort Knox High School. That's where I graduated from. All right. And then I didn't have a scholarship, Jason. I wasn't like you, everybody being recruited. All right. And so I walked on at Western. I ended up walking on at Western. And Dickie Moore was the same year that I was. We were freshmen together, and Dickie was a really great running back, Orangeboro, Kentucky. And he's passed on now. But that's how I got started. And then after my senior year, I became a captain. All right.
Okay.
And then started my graduate assistant year. And so working with the football team, went into the administration, did a little administrative work, during the spring, January. Then one of the coaches on our staff, because at that time the staffs were small. Okay.
Like it is today.
At that time, one of the coaches decided that he was getting out of coaching and he's going to go into private business. And then Coach Fikes at that time saw an opportunity because I was there and we didn't have any black coaches on the staff at that time. All right. Because this was back in 69, 70. All right.
Okay.
And then more black kids were being recruited and we didn't have a black coach. So because he knew me, and I'd been a captain and, he said I would be a good fit for him. He offered me a job. And so I thought it was a good opportunity because I liked Western, and I took the job and started coaching right there at Western.
All right.
And then we had some pretty decent teams. We went to the playoffs and ended up going to Louisiana and playing. They had 2 running backs, quick 6, and then they had that quarterback, that guy who's pretty good, all-pro quarterback, and they beat us. Okay, they beat us. But but from Western, I got the opportunity to go to Texas Tech with Steve Sloan. Sloan was the coach at Vanderbilt. He got the Vanderbilt job and took him to a bowl game. And so now then he gets offered the job at Texas Tech out in Lubbock, Texas. And from my travels in the Army with my dad,
Yes.
we had been to Killeen, Texas. So I said, okay, Texas, I kind of know Texas a little bit. But the thing I did not know is I didn't know Lubbock, Texas. That's a little different out in West Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on a plateau that's kind of flat. And when I got off the plane and had to walk across the tarmac, dust does blow out there in Lubbock a little bit. So now I'm getting dust in my mouth because I didn't have to go for a visit. I didn't have to go, and Sloan didn't have to sell. Sloan offered me the job over the telephone without me having to go out there, and I accepted over the telephone. So now dust is blowing in my mouth. I get in the car with the coach. We're riding down to the stadium, and a tumbleweed blows across the street. I said, what have I got myself into? You know, I said, this is a wild, wild west.
Yeah.
But I did. I had a good time there at Tech, and we went to 2 bowl games. They hadn't been to a couple in a few years. Went to 2 bowl games, and then Sloan decided. Sloan was a Southeastern Conference guy. He played at Alabama. Okay. Knew Bear Bryant, and he wanted to get back to the Southeast, and so a job at Ole Miss came open, and he decided that he was going to take the Ole Miss job. And I decided I was going to go with him. Okay, so go to Ole Miss. I stayed there 2 years, and then I get a chance to go to Georgia Tech, and then from Georgia Tech I go to the NFL. And everybody else, they always ask, how did you get the connection to get to the NFL? Well, while I was at Western in recruiting, Parcells was at Vanderbilt. He was the defensive coordinator at Vanderbilt. And I met him on the recruiting trail and got to know him a little bit. When Sloan got the job at Vanderbilt, our running back coach, he went down to Nashville because it's just an hour from Bowling Green. He goes down to Nashville and he sits in Sloan's office and he waits until Sloan later in the day comes out of the office and he talks to Sloan and tells Sloan he wants to work for him. And hey, Sloan offered him the job. So I had the running back coach on Sloan's staff. I knew Parcells, had met Rex Dockery. And so then hopefully, I'm guessing they gave Sloan a good recommendation for me. All right. And so that's why he called and offered me the job. All right. So now then, boom, I'm in college and we're playing. Ended up at Georgia Tech, only 1 year there. And the highlight of that year is we tied Notre Dame. Okay. And so that was the best part of our record that year. We had a tie and didn't win another one. But then because of the connection with Parcells, by that time he was the defensive coordinator at the New York Giants, and he called me and said, would you be interested in coming up? And so I decided I'd go talk to him and got a job there, started at the bottom. Ray Perkins was the head coach at that time, and I had met Ray while I was at Ole Miss. And so he said, if I have a job, you're going to have to start at the bottom and work your way up. So that's what I did. I was quality control. Started quality control, working with the defense and special teams. And so Parcells was a coordinator. Belichick was the special teams coach at that time. Okay. And so Ray Perkins left us and went to Alabama as a head coach. And then Parcells was able to get the Giant job. And so now he becomes the head coach. Belichick becomes a coordinator. I become the special teams coach. And I ended up staying with the Giants for 12 years.
Okay.
12 years. Okay.
12 years.
So what years was that? The 12-year era. What is that?
That started in 81. Started in 1981. All right.
Okay.
So we won Super Bowl 21, and then a couple of years later we won Super Bowl 25. All right. And then Parcells decided he needed some time away. He moved away, took some time off.
That's right.
Ray Hanley became the head coach. Didn't go as well. Ended up letting him go. And at that time, that 2 years or whatever he was there, Parcells had decided to get back into coaching. And so, excuse me, I didn't have a job. Okay. And I was looking, and Parcells called me and asked me if I would want to come up to New England with him. And so I told him, yes, I would. All right. So I did that. And right after I committed to Parcells, I get a call from Dan Reeves, who was taking the Giant job. And he told me that he'd like to talk to me about a job. I told him I'm sorry, but I just committed to Parcells. And so we go to New England. And so go to New England. We went to a Super Bowl. Okay. We went to Super Bowl, 31, I believe, and we lost it. Okay. We lost it. And then the deal with Parcells and Belichick and quitting and retiring and all of that's another story in itself. Okay. But as a result of that, Belichick ends up, he's the head coach, and then he quits, and he ends up in New England. Al Grove becomes the coach at the Jets.
Al Grove, that's right, man.
Yeah. And then I got a chance to go to Cleveland as a defensive coordinator then. All right, that was my first defensive coordinator job. And so we improved the defense. But Chris Palmer, who was the head coach, he was on his second or third year, and it wasn't going good. And then he got let go. And so we all got let go, basically.
I know how it works. Yes, sir. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
At that time. And so then from there, I had a chance to go back to New England, and Belichick had just gotten a job in New England in 2000. Okay. And so now this is 2001. I go to New England as a defensive coordinator, and that's where a lot of good things began to happen, because we won 3 out of the 4 Super Bowls and 3 out of 4 in 4 years, which was pretty good. And, and so it was a lot of success. And as a result of that, I believe I ended up with the head job in Cleveland. And so I stayed there for 4 years, which was, it was good that I was a head coach. The record and the situation could have been better,
Right.
Could have been better.
Well, Coach, let me stop you there. Look, and I say this. Hey, God bless anybody who becomes head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I'm telling you, when you go on in, you are in the lion's den of trying to reinvigorate an organization. And I have no idea why it just stays difficult. It's been like that, for past number of years. It seems like some teams just kind of struggle somewhat organizationally wise, and I'm not sure why that is. But now, I feel your pain. I know how tough it can be, But God bless you for that one.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
But I mean, hey, you put your best foot forward. You try. Right. You try to do the best you can. And in my third year, we won 10 games. Third year, we won 10 games, and we were tied at the end of the season, and we needed a victory.
Yeah.
From another team for us to make the playoffs.
Oh man!
And you know how when you have to depend on somebody else to do the job, they usually don't do it. So
they don't do it.
That's right. They don't do it. And so we did make the playoffs. And then the fourth year at Cleveland, we started having injuries and down to the third quarterback, third tight end, and they decided to make a change. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. And excuse me, then I had a year off,
and then I had a chance to go to Kansas City as a defensive coordinator. And then they decided to change the coach, but the GM was there and knew him, had worked with him before, Pioli. And so I became the interim, and then I interviewed for the head job, got the head job, and then bad luck happened, and they decided to make a change then, you know. And so I set out a year, didn't know what was going to happen, and then I had a chance to go to Houston. And so went to Houston. I was in Houston 7 years, and that was the end of basically, after those 7 years, that was the end of 40 years in the NFL. And I was like a special assistant for a year, you know, and all of that. And then it was time for me to ride off into the sunset. And,
I hear you.
And so,
listen, hey, Coach, if anybody deserves riding off to the sunset with the best music playing in the background, you know, and the man wins, you are victorious, believe me, for the time that you've been putting in the NFL. And I tell you what, I don't think people realize, you know, kind of like the hard work and the dedication and the hours you put in as a coach. You know, how much it just takes you away from the family, you know, just the structure of things. And I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed when you came up and you was giving your acceptance speech for the Blank Collier Award, and you had your grandchildren there, you know, that was able to be part of that, man. I was just like, I just turned and looked when I was listening to you, and I turned to look at them, and I was just looking at their faces, okay, and looking at Papa. I don't know what they call you, but they looking at you, you know, with a proud look and just the love of a man that's accomplished, but more so where, you know, the difficulty of the family things, they see you and you know, the love that they have. So I know that they didn't miss no part of it, and they have Papa, and they was able to say that, because I talked to your granddaughter. Your granddaughter was one that encouraged me to say, Jason, reach out to him. He's like, you know, I know he's on vacation, but go ahead and reach out to him. I said, you know what, I will. Now, I meant to tell you before you left, and then, you know, you were surrounded by people, you know, we were, you know, taking pictures. You know how we do it. We finish everything up. But I tell you what, you have a beautiful family. I know they love you dearly, but I could tell the affection that they have of you when they were just watching you speak up there. And I'm just like, man, that's what legacy means. That's exactly how you do it. So
yeah, they are good kids. I enjoy them. And as a matter of fact, right now, my grandson will be a senior this year, and he's playing a little football at a Catholic school in Jersey. So I'm going to try to see as many of his games as I can this year, and try to encourage him and see what happens with his career.
Okay. Now, Coach, are you going to be hands off? You know, are you going to be on the sideline kind of getting on? They're going to let you on the field what they should. They be like, if I see you in the stands, like, hey, Coach, come on down here. I want you to talk to the entire team, not just your grandson. I want you talking to everybody, you know, coaches included. Everybody needs to sit down and listen to you.
Well, I've been to a practice and watched them practice, you know, and said one or two words, but during the game, I just try to keep it inside myself, okay, and until after the game, and then I try some pointers here or there.
Right. I understand that. Hey, Coach, listen, we can't help but be who we are, right? I mean,
That's
seriously. You know, and you know, like you with the amount of time that you just been around football, played it, and whatnot. When I come on this show and I speak about it, you know, I always try to give, you know, a glimpse and a look behind the scenes and what things actually look out like in the practice, you know, in the practice field, in the film room, the temperature of how guys feel and engage emotional wise, what it means to us, how we try to also, you know, put ourselves in a bubble that we are kind of protected from the outside world, if you will, you know. And look, Coach, you know, I started in Philly, and so you know it's rough customers up there as far as, man, they dog customers. Well, you was in Cleveland, you know how they dog customers. You know, you the worst thing ever. You can't listen to the radio back then or read the newspapers, and so you know I was kind of I was forged in all that fire then, you know?
Yes.
So when I get out to the Kansas City, everything was tamed. I'm like, man, where's all the reporters that dog you out? They, you know, they ain't quite had that, you know, in Kansas City.
Well, you know what? They hadn't gotten there yet. That's what happened. But now they're there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That's true. And I think they brought some of the fans with them as well, you know.
Of course, yes.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. And I'll tell you what, the Chiefs have obviously, you know this, you understand this, you know, where we was in New England winning, you know, a few rings. And by the way, I was going to be a part of those teams, but it didn't quite work out. Charlie Weiss took me out. Me and Charlie had a great dinner. Oh, man, we went out, man, had lobster steak.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. And we was having, and Charlie telling me everything, Jason, this is what we're going to do with you, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, when we get back to the facility the next day, you know, it's that contract speak, right? Down there, here comes the numbers. That's the conversation. That's what I want to have. And we get there, and I go and I talk to Scott, you know, Pioli. And we're having the conversation. Jason, I remember you from college. And, you know, his best friend was my quarterback, actually, at EKU, Crenshaw. So he's just like, yeah, Jason, so he started breaking down a number like, Jason, we only got this for you, that's such and such, blah, blah. I said, hey, Scott, I stood up, shook his head. I said, man, I appreciate the trip out here, but there's no way I can sign for that, you know. But that was the year when y'all first went on your run. It was the first year I went on your run. But going back to what I was saying before, it's just, you know, you're going to have a lot of people having conversations, different talk, on what things actually look like behind the scenes. And that's why we love having coaches like you, former players on, coming and talking about a little bit of that piece, because I want you to give your perspective, okay? All right? Of somebody who's been a head coach, who's been a defensive coordinator, who have coached for a number of years. And I think what we do is we provide answers for people, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only that we get to speak about, you know, what we did in our time, but also, too, you can give your valuable knowledge and information and insight and perspective on some of the things that's happening now in the league, okay? You know, things are just vastly different, Coach. You know this. I mean, you know, when we go from preseason, right, training camp, what do you think about training camp now? Let me ask you that. Let me ask you that first, okay?
Okay. I will preface that.
Okay.
I'll preface that because of what's happened in the league, all right?
Okay.
Salary,
right.
Just like you're talking salary. And,
yes.
And what Kansas City offered at first, or what Pioli in New England offered, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't enough. Well, now these players are making much more money than when I first got into the league, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And with that money comes responsibilities about winning football, having great effort, and it comes down to, did you win every game? Did you win or did you lose? I mean, and when you win, things go great. But when you lose, I mean, even if you only lose by 1 point, you still lost. Okay. Right. Now, the losing coach tries to make something of that. We played hard, we did a good job, and now we're going to make one more play and then we'll be able to win next week. Okay. But you really don't know. So that's why they tell you, play game by game, one game at a time. Don't look forward, don't look back, and try to get that done. And if you can develop the culture on your team, that it's a team, all right? One guy by himself can't win the game, all right? It takes everybody on that team to do their job and to do it to the best of their ability, all right, to give the team the best chance to win. And if you can get that culture and that attitude built in to the team, then they all go play together and they all pull for each other and they all really try to get it done. Now, with that being said, it's a little bit harder to do, to develop that culture, because Joe Smith is making $100 million, okay, and I'm only making $50,000. So
right.
Now, you know, there's a little contention there, okay, about the difference in salaries, and that's why you see guys are holding out to try to get more money, because other guys are getting paid. They want to get paid, and they understand that the
pro football career doesn't last forever. Okay, it doesn't last forever. So they know that they need to try to make their money while they can. And so as a result, that team building and that culture, sometimes it takes longer to develop. But the fans, they don't want to give you longer. They want to win now. Particularly if you're going to pay me $100 million, then they want me to produce right away so that I can help the team win. All right. And so now administration, coaches, and everybody has to deal with those mentalities. All right. And then try to put the best product on the field and get them to play hard every down so that the team can win. Yeah. And it's not like it used to be. They used to let you develop a team and give you a couple of years, to build the team. But now it's instant gratification. All right. I call it the microwave society. Okay.
You said it best. That is a fact, exactly what it is, because it isn't any type of patience. There's no perseverance there. And so what I do see a lot of, if it's not just a fan base, but you said it also too, it's organization, because sometimes there's been some very brilliant coaches I've seen being let go. Yeah. And it's always kind of like one of those things that, why did they give one guy a better opportunity, a chance to keep making mistakes over and over again? And some guys, it just seems like, you don't have that long of a leash. It's like, oh, well, it didn't work. And, obviously, the administration part of it, the managers and stuff, GMs, how they feel about it may not be their vision. But I think when you come in clearly expressing how you want to feel and how you want to do your team, right? Create the culture, a winning culture. I think like certain things, man, I've just seen guys get canned for some terrible reasons. Put it that way.
Well, sure. That's part of the game that the administration and coaches have to deal with. I mean, you have to understand that it's that microwave. They want it done yesterday is when they want it done. All right. And they want to win. So if you can win, it's easier to stay around. It's easier to keep your job if you win. Or if you lose, they're just going to move on because they say that, hey, if I'm losing with this guy, I can lose with anybody. Okay. Yeah, and so then they say, okay, let me try somebody else. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case on every team or anything like that, but because of what we have made of the game and all the people that are watching and the ticket prices and all of that, TV contracts, they want winners and they want to see winning teams and they want to see winning football. And so that's why those fans get excited when you win. All right, because now they can put their chest out. Okay, I'm a Chiefs fan. Okay, I'm a Chiefs fan. Okay, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you see a lot of people starting to pull out their jerseys and their shirts. The Chiefs fan these last few years, throwing the dust off of it. Oh, okay, I'm a Chiefs fan. Oh, wait a minute, hold on now. Listen, you had to deal with all the years that things wasn't quite where you want them to be, right? You had to stand there proud when you're doing that. But I think you have an incredible point there, and it kind of goes into this question that I had. There's been a couple of guys that have struggled, okay, out there on the field, and what I don't think people understand is the process that it takes to build like trusting relationships of a player, but as a coach having the patience to do the full evaluation of who a guy is. Like you said, microwave society, if a guy drops a pass or he didn't get some, oh man, we got to get rid of this guy. He's a bum. He's what they call a bust, and so it's like, listen, coaches know these guys intimately. They with him every single day. They know what he's doing in the meeting room, on the practice field. They know how he speaks, how he carries himself, the extra things that he's doing. I don't think people take into account, at least from that perspective, right? That view. They don't have that view. Right? They only see what's on, TV on Sundays. And it's okay, if a guy doesn't do it, he's horrible and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about like, how do you, first off, that critical talk of what they say about players, but also too, how do you build a player up in the whole process of getting him ready to play. Because people ask me all the time, like, well, how long should we give him? I'm like, well, what's the right answer on that? What is the right answer? How long you give a guy? So,
well, you give him the opportunities to show what he can do. All right. But it goes back to when it first starts, a player has to know what to do so that then he can execute it. So the coach has to do a good job of instructing and coaching and teaching. All right. And now, if I do a good job of that, then the player has to execute when the ball is snapped. Right. And what happens with players, they know that they want to make plays. Okay. Right. Because when they make plays, boom, the TV comes right on to them. All right. They know that, boom, everybody's slapping them on the back. You did a good job. That was a good play. All right. But what happens sometimes, players will try to make a play rather than do their job first. And see, and that's the thing. That's the thing that I try to coach my players with. It's do your job. Do your job first and then help out. Because like with the defensive line, a lot of times we were instructed, stay on the block. All right, you win your gap. And sometimes when a guy feels like he's got his gap won and the runner is flashing, he thinks he can jump out of the gap to make a tackle. But when he jumps out of the gap, he doesn't make the tackle. And now the runner runs, for a big gain. All right. So now what you have to do is you have to impress upon that guy. All right, you need to stay on this block and make the ball come to you, and then you'll make the tackle. But if you jump off the block, you open up another seam, and now they have a chance to make a play. So it all ties in together, okay?
Yeah.
You got to know your job. So they got to do a good job in the classroom. I got to do a good job teaching in the classroom so that they can know what their job is. And then on the practice field, I got to teach them to execute their job and be disciplined enough to make sure that if I'm a B gap player, I win the B gap. Okay, I win the B gap and don't let the ball run in the B gap. Okay, now if the ball runs in the B gap and that's my responsibility, well then that's my fault. I can't blame it on anybody else because my job is to win the B gap.
Yes.
All right? So you just got to repeat it. And that's why in coaching, you hear a lot of the same old stuff, win the B gap, don't run up the field. All right. No down and distance, because they got to take in all of those different things to help them be the best that they can be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that right there, what you're talking about, gap integrity, right? Like doing your job. And it's there's a discipline in itself. There was a play this past weekend. Seattle, first off, ran up and down on our defense. Our defensive line didn't play particularly well, but I think a lot of it goes into kind of what you're saying, right? Preseason is one of those things. It's a process where guys get better, where you do teach it, you do coach it up. And so we had a double A gap blitz, okay, my linebackers. And came through. So when our linebacker was off, he was off balance, misses running back just kind of pushes him over. But like you were saying, the other linebacker who was supposed to be on, the right A gap, he comes through, sees the quarterback flash, and he tried to shed and come back the other way. Opens up the lane. The lane opened wide up, coach. The whole truck could have drove through it. Okay. And I was like, man, like, lane integrity, gap integrity. Like, you got to stay in your gap. You have the A gap here. Don't give it up. If everybody else is doing their job, you stay where you're supposed to stay. Yeah. And that right there is perfect. I had John Gruden was my offensive coordinator when I was in Philadelphia. And John was sitting there telling me, he said, Jason, don't be so robotic. Like, do what we ask you to do and then let your talents play after that, right? But first, get your job done as far as like what you're supposed to do. Get 5 yards up, 10 yards up, whatever you need to do. And then your athletic ability shows from that point on. And I was just like, oh, I never really thought about it before, right? I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to run, get open and do the job. But he was saying, I was being too robotic because I'm thinking about what I'm doing. But he's like, man, look, you run a 4.5, you do a 40-inch vertical, you know, you could get out of anything. You could shoot, make it happen. And so I had to play within that of like, okay, I got what you're saying. First, it's a responsibility, and then I could shine my talent there on that as well.
You can use your ability and your talent, all right, because you know yourself, all right. And so what I also tell my guys, because you know we used to play that 2-gap on the defensive line, and we wouldn't let them get off the block, and they have to beat the block and put their hands in the chest and all that. Yeah. All right. But they wanted to be able they wanted to be able to get off the block and make a tackle in the backfield sometimes. And I said, look, if you do your job and you show me you can do your job, I'll give you some professional initiative. You can take a professional initiative. All right. If you think that you got this gap controlled enough that you can get off and the guy's not going to run in that gap, and then you can make a tackle in the backfield. But if that initiative, you miss the tackle in the backfield or they run in the gap you're supposed to control, then I'm going to take that initiative away from you. I'm not going to let you be able to use that initiative because you're going to be over there on the sideline with me.
That's right. That's good to sit right there like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it your way, right?
That's right. And then what they do then is they began to know when they can use that professional initiative. Okay. Now it's not 100%. It's not 100% because it has to do with the ability of the guy playing. Like J.J. Watt. Okay. He's long, he's strong, and he can jump off the block, and the length sometimes can make the play. All right. And there's another player might jump off the block like J.J. does, but he's not as long. He doesn't have the reach. And so he can't make the play. So now then he's got to decide when he can jump off the block, if he's going to jump off the block, you know. And when JJ jumps off the block, if he makes the play, we all love him. But if he jumps off the block and he doesn't make the play, I say, look, your job, you didn't do your job on that one. All right. And then what it comes down to is if you screw up too many times, then you don't have the initiative. All right. Because I got to take it away from you. All right. And most of the time, taking the initiative away is to put you on the sideline. And none of those guys want to be on the sideline. They play the game because they want to play the game. They want to be on the field. All right. But it's a process. You just got to teach, you teach, you teach. You repeat, you repeat, you repeat. All right. And then boom, they'll listen. They get together and they start doing something pretty good.
Coach, do you get on like your star players more because you know it's going to resonate with the younger guys, or at least as an example, like, hey, listen, like, look, if I'm speaking to J.J. Watt to do a particular thing and making sure he's doing it right all the time, the young guys have to follow. They have to listen to this, right?
They have to listen. Okay.
Yes.
Now, you don't speak to everybody the same. Okay.
Right.
J.J. Watt, a lot of guys don't have his ability. You know, so if I'm talking to a guy who doesn't have that ability, like I'm talking to JJ, I'm doing him a disservice. All right. So I got to talk to him as it relates to the ability that he has. Okay. And then they have to understand the position that they're playing. All right. And how they can play that one best. Like Ted Washington, big nose tackle we had. Well,
boy, Ted, wow.
I mean, it's hard to move. He can win one-on-one. It takes two guys to get into movement on him. So I tell a linebacker, if there are two on him, you got to be free, and you got to make the tackle. All right. Now, if they're going to come off on you and Ted is one-on-one, Ted is going to make the tackle if they run in either A gap, you know. But we talk, we coach, we see it on the film, we talk about it on the film, and get everybody on the same page.
Okay. Marcus, do you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of talk about different leaders that guys that you've coached, coach, and one guy that stands out. But during when you were coaching to now still making a difference with the Chiefs organization was Tamba Ali. You got to coach him kind of in the prime of his career. And he's still, in the offseason, he's taking Chiefs edge rushers, taking them to his dojo and doing moves with them and teaching these young guys on how to work. When you hear stories like that Tom Bali's still, doing his thing with these young edge rushers, is that a surprise to you? And do you have any stories of Tom Bali from the time you were coaching in Kansas City that would be a joy to hear?
Now, the thing about Tom Bali, he had that drive. I mean, all the good players, the really good ones, they have a drive about them, about doing their job. And Tamba, that pass rusher, he's a pass rusher, and he had that drive about rushing the passer. And so sometimes I had to slow him down because he's going to be up the field otherwise, but he would listen. He takes the coaching points. And like you mentioned, martial arts. He was into the martial arts, and he would do that and to make his craft better. And that's what players have to do. They have to make themselves better as well. And having an instructor. And we had one on the team, and Tamba would always use that. He would do that. And then a competitor, these top-notch players, they are top competitors, okay? Top competitors. Lawrence Taylor, I had him with the Giants, a top competitor. I mean, J.J. Watt. Mm-hmm. Now, that's something, start my career with Lawrence Taylor and end my career with J.J. Watt. That's two pretty good bookends right there. Yeah. Pretty good bookends. But they had the drive. They had what it takes. I mean, they wanted to be good. All right. So they would work at it.
I played with Tom for a couple of years and Derek Johnson, DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was out, as an older player at that time, watching them as young pups come in. And you're right, Tombo was like one of those guys, like, hey, Tombo, hey, slow down, man. Like, even in walk through, Tombo, I'm
That's
like, right. Just kind of chill. And, you got to get him used to the tempo, like what's going on. But it's always to watch the development when they get older, to see where they became and, how good they were, especially, like in your defense when you was up there coaching them. But you're right. Those guys have a drive to them. And so how do you pull it out of a guy, coach, to get to that place to say, listen, man, you need more work to do. You need more development, but you got to do this. The onus is on you. Like, we can only do so much, right? We can only do so much. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, like I was talking about this preseason. Okay.
Yeah.
Some guys, obviously, the first team's only getting a certain, they're only getting, 11 snaps here and there. Well, it's only a small sample size that people see. And then, of course, everybody's looking at them and they killing them. Oh, my gosh, you look terrible. 11 snaps. And I'm just like, listen, we got a young guy who's still trying to develop. It's his second year. I'm like, there's a difference between game speed, physicality, and, being in shape that there is as far as in practice. And like back in our day, we can get 2-a-days in practice, and you could get ready. You can get ready at the first of the season. But now, because the NFLPA, which is, they did the right thing, you only can have so many padded practices. You can only have so many things you can go live. And so what you do see in preseason is, oh man, let me say it in a nice way, maybe a lack of production, put it mildly. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit, because you were talking about reps.
Yes.
How do you get better? You get better with reps. The more reps the player has at doing his job, the better he can become. Now, when they cut back on the contact, okay, they cut back on the time, they took a lot of the reps away from guys. Hey, yes. You go 2-a-days. Okay, so practice in the morning, practice in the afternoon, that's a lot of reps. Now you don't have that. Okay.
Right.
And then the other thing is, hey, and I understand why they do what they do. all right, about contact. Well, there's no real contact in practice anymore, all right? And the contact comes in the game, all right? Now, maybe if there were a little more contact, I'm not advocating, go wild or anything like that.
Sure.
But maybe you wouldn't see some of the injuries that we are seeing now in the preseason. All right. I mean, because when you hit, you get used to being hit. All right.
Sir.
That. But when you don't hit, you're not used to it. But now you go out there in the game and you're going 100 miles an hour, and you never go 100 miles an hour in practice anymore. All right. And so that might have something to do with it. Now, I understand the safety deal and putting the covers on the helmets and practice in shorts and all of that. And everybody's doing it. So no one technically has an advantage. Okay. Right. But you have to look at some of the results of all of those things that are going on.
Man, Coach, you sitting over here telling the truth now. People like telling the truth. Hey, shoot.
Hey, I'm retired.
I hear you. That's right. And that's the reality of it. I say that all the time. For you to be a tough team, Coach Grimm used to say this all the time. To be a tough team, you got to practice tough. Okay. You want to be a physical team, you got to practice physical.
Physical. That's right.
So there's no getting around it. This is a physical sport. Okay. You're looking at production. And I said the people that are hurt most by this, Coach, are the linemen. The linemen are the ones that hurt most by this, because, we were talking about our young left guard. Okay. He was our second round pick last year. He was supposed to be our starting left tackle, moved him down to left guard. And so he's at a point where I was trying to explain to people, like, okay, they did a 10-play drive. Okay. I said, first off, the man did a 10-play drive. Okay. Number two, all the adrenaline that's going through his body at the time. All right. 3, this is something that he hasn't seen in practice fully, where he has to push on the body, move a man against his will. Okay. And the other guy's trying to rip his throat out. Right. And they get paid too. So if there's some things he's messing up technique wise, I said some of his feet look like a little bit of tiredness to me. And then, Jason, why is he tired? He's been. I said, listen, I don't think y'all quite understand what playing in a game like live is different than it is in practice. Okay. Right. Guys take care of each other in practice, Coach. You know how it is. And hey, man, we're gonna get
sometimes, yeah. That's right.
Right. Nice little rep. But like you said, more reps puts him in a better position he could possibly be in. And so if you're sitting over here and he's limited, because now you got 90-something bodies, you're trying to get a practice in 2.5 hours, 2 hours? Come on. Now you're really limited about the type of work you're going to be able to get in. Correct?
Correct. And so now then what they have to do is they got to take some initiative to try to work their skills by themselves sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. And a perfect example in my mind, because I mentioned Lawrence Taylor.
Yes.
Brad Benson was our left tackle, all right, at the Giants. He had to go against Lawrence Taylor every day, all right? And so Brad, at that time, it wasn't as much 2-point stands for the offensive lineman. Right. It was hand on the ground and then get back. Well, he knew that if he didn't get back and get set versus Lawrence Taylor, he wouldn't have a chance. So at practice, before practice, I would see him in his stance taking his pass set and getting back and working on it to give himself the chance. Okay. And that allowed him to be able to compete against Lawrence Taylor because he was able to get back and get set because he worked on it. Even just versus air, just getting back and get set, take the steps that he needs to step, And so players have to take some responsibility also in being able to help develop themselves, all right? If they're not going to let us hit, all right, or they're cutting down the number of reps, I got to do some extra running, all right? Before practice, after practice, during practice, I got to do more to keep myself in shape. All right. And they have to understand that.
That's right. And I think that's what people have to drive home, right? And they, oh, coaches got. I said, but he's a professional. This is the NFL. This is a production-based business.
Yes.
He's got to take and understand I'm not far along as I should be. And so if I'm sitting over watching film and I know I'm behind, that's some other things I need to do. And so I think for a young guy, that's one of those things you had to drive home, right? You got to help him understand. Like, look, man, if your feet is not good, this is what you have to do. Like you were talking about the guard. You know who we used to do that all the time, Coach? Will Shields.
Okay, Will, yeah.
Will, yes. Will would always on the side, he'll be working on his technique. Moving it back. And you sitting there like, why, Will, you got 9 Pro Bowls. Why are you still doing this? Right?
That's why he's got 9.
That's why he's got 9. That's right.
That's right.
So, yeah. So he's not sitting over there just, sitting on his laurels, and on his hands. I didn't did the work, now I'm gonna sit back. He said no. And he told me his coach, and it's been absolutely true. He said, JD, he used to call me Thor, because I had my long dreads out. He said, Thor, he said, man, they try to replace you. Every single day they're trying to replace you. They're trying to find somebody younger that can speak, pay less money to. Less money. He said, that's what they're trying to do. I said, man, Will, I said, no truer words have been spoken than that. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality. Yeah.
It's a competition business.
It's competition business. Look, competition is great for those guys. It's great. Yeah. But I think it is for the young guys to understand that. But I like what you said as far as like just the development. They got to take some onus on themselves. Coaches can only do so much. I used to tell guys, look, I can't play for you. I can't do it. I can tell you the scheme of what I'm asking you to do. Now what I need for you to go out there and execute it. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're not executing it to the way that I want you to, guess what? You're gonna be sitting over here beside me. Okay.
That's it.
And look, we got enough people sitting in the stands, watching the game.
Hey, and if you're sitting beside me and not in the stands, you're costing me money because I can have somebody else that's doing a little bit better.
That's right. That's the truth. That is the truth, man. So, Coach, let me ask you, okay, on that vein, right? I really want to get into your defensive philosophy because that defense y'all had up there, man, in New England. I tell you what, I hated it. That big Willie on the outside, man, trying to reach him wide. Oh my gosh. I said that was always one of the hardest things to do is when you have a wide 9 outside linebacker trying to reach him, on a toss, you might as well forget it. And so
you give him a 2-way go.
Yeah. A 2-way. And I would say, okay, what I'm gonna try to do is if Willie goes from my first step and he stays outside, then I'm just gonna torque and take him where he wants to go. Just keep him outside.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but Willie, you know how big he is, so stout. And that joker come and lock me and try to keep me from going outside. I knew I had to bring my lunch pail and hard hat, man, every time I go up there and get them jokers all the time. But let me see, defensively, because, you were talking about the 2-gap scheme. Y'all was running more of a 3-4 up there in New England, right? That was more.
To start with, yes.
Yes. Okay. It's 4-3 with, kind of the defensive line. Can you talk a little bit about, the philosophy on the interior real quick, just kind of give people a little nuggets because what was happening, there was too much of double teams getting up there to our linebackers. And I'm just like, look, our linebackers a little bit, little light in the pants. We can't have the lineman getting up there to our linebackers. So give me just your philosophy, Coach. What would you do defensively, defensive tackle wise to kind of prevent that?
All right. So most of the time in the 4-3, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to have a 3 and a 1, a 3 and a 2, okay? But the 2 then basically has that A gap. The 3 technique has the B gap. And so those 2 gaps should be taken care of. And now the linebackers behind them, they have to fill, okay? He's got to fill the gap. So if I'm a B gap player on the left, all right, and I've got an A gap player on the right, all right, the A gap, this middle linebacker, he's got to take that A gap versus a run. All right.
Yes.
But they're linebackers because they're, quote, more skilled the defensive guys, linemen. Okay, they're
Right.
more skilled, so they got to be to overcompensate on some things. All right? So if the ball does not run in that A gap that he's responsible for, then I expect him to be able to get over the top to help out if the ball goes wider, or come back. All right, if the ball cuts back to the weak side. So now he's got to be able to do that if they're blocking the lineman one-on-one. Now, if they're blocking the lineman, two guys on him, then we concentrate on not letting them get movement on the down lineman. All right. If I'm the down lineman, I'm jamming that guard. And if I have to go to the knee, I'm going to turn the shoulders. And if I got to go to the knee, I'm going to go to the knee to force the double, to try to force that tackle to stay on it and not let him get up on the linebacker. Because if I can use up two, somebody's free. And then my linebacker is free. Okay. And so now then you got a similar thing on the weak side. You know, you got a guy playing the A gap. And so now a linebacker has to take the B. All right. Your defensive end, he's going to be the guy set the edge for you most of the time. And so I think that those defensive tackles, they are critical in the 4-3. All right. And it's tougher in today's game because there's more throwing in today's game. All right. And more 2-point stances by the offensive lineman. And so now these guys, defensive tackles, want to try to run up the field sometimes. And when they run up the field, they create seams. So now we got to talk to them about down and distance. Okay. First and 10, second and short. Generally, those are going to be rundowns unless, you know, your scouting report tells you they're doing something else. All right. So they shouldn't be running up the field on those downs. Now you get to second and long. Now that's going to be more of a passing down. So you got to know the scouting report to see what the scouting report is telling you that they're doing. And a lot of times by formation, they'll kind of indicate what they're doing. So you got to know formations. You got to study. That's why in the meeting room, in those meetings, you have to pay attention and know what the offense is doing, what they're what they are been doing before in those other games. Okay.
Tendencies.
That exactly. So you can play those sometimes. If you know them, then you can put yourself in better position. All right. And so and like I say, being a defensive lineman myself and being coaching with the defensive line most of the time, I know how important those guys are to help the guys around them, to help the linebackers particularly. All right. So, I mean, I've always put a lot on those guys. You got to use two. You have to use up two so that the linebacker can be free. And if you can't use two and you can't make the play, then I've got trouble. Okay, I've got trouble. If you can't use up two and you can't make the play one-on-one, then I got trouble. And I'm going to try to stay around as long as I can, right?
That's right.
And so if I got trouble, I got to do something else. I got to try to get somebody else to come in there and see what they can do.
That's right. Like the competition still goes back to the competition part of it.
That's right. That's what it is.
And coach, and look, and players are there lurking. They're looking at the guy in front of them who's not doing their job. They're like, okay, that's all right. I'm listening to you, coach. I know when you see me, when I get in, I'm going to give you exactly what you want. You know, and I thank you for that, you know, because we're trying to teach some people a little bit about, you know, the scheme of things and gaps, integrity, and, you know, how you play certain positions, right, to be effective, you know. And that's why I always tell, like, man, you got to be able to take two. If you see that lineman trying to come off, try to grab him. Now you I don't tangle up with him, make it look like you tripped and all those, whatever he has, you know.
You don't have to hold him long. Just grab him a little bit, okay?
Just a little bit.
Don't hold him too long. Just let him go after a while.
Right.
When you slowed him up enough, let the linebacker should be running now.
That's exactly. So in the game, they had a good scheme. You know, this is Kubiak, right? This is the old Kubiak. They got you moving left to right, more lateral, you know, get guys, and all they doing is just wash you. They start washing you. and the running backs hitting the backside C gap. I'm like, wow, like it looked like they're going to be a pretty tight team as far as Seattle wise. But Coach, listen, I'm always just now for the preseason. We were just talking about the development of guys. What state do you put into the preseason? If guys are getting beat, teams are getting beat, or is this more of a gauge and quantifying your scheme wise, or is this more quantifying individually what guys are and who they should be?
It's both of those things. Okay. It's evaluating your scheme. It's evaluating how the players that you have fit in your scheme. Okay. And you're evaluating those players. Now you've got a set of veteran players that you know what they can do. And so all you got to do is try to refresh those guys a little bit. But then these young guys, particularly these young draft guys who are on board and front office, they're going to want to see what they can do. Then you try to give them some time in the preseason, all right, to show what they can do so they can get a feel for the game. And when you had 4 preseason games, you had more time to get it done. But now with 3 preseason games, you don't have as much time to get it done. And I think that's one of the reasons that you see more inter-squad things happening in training camp. All right, because you got teams working against each other, and they're kind of treating that like a preseason game, because you're going against a different competition, and you're seeing different players. And so that's one way that teams can get that extra competition in. Because, we got the 3rd preseason game coming up, and that's the last preseason game right now.
That's it, right?
Yeah. So it's basically over.
Yep.
And I know when we had 4, we could give the good guys 15 to 20 plays in the first quarter if it took that long. Okay, that's the first game. Second game, you could take them to the second quarter. Okay, third game, you can take them into the third quarter. Fourth game, you can rest them because that you're getting ready. And then all the young guys, they take all that 4th preseason game basically. All right. But so now you don't have as many games. You only got 3. And so now you got to try to find some way to get those extra reps. And so going against another team gives them those extra reps.
They were finding out, they were discussing the Bengals primarily, was talking about you could see a pattern because they went playing Burrows and Jamar Chase and those guys. They took them around about the 3rd or 4th game to really start getting their rhythm. It was like, they're not getting any work preseason. They sitting over there with their change and, they eating sunflower seeds, having a good time, waving up to the crowd. And, and I'm like, man, like, I get it. These guys are making a whole lot of money. You don't want to get them hurt, right, over something silly in practice, but they still need to get some type of development. How do you get them to be tougher? How do you get them to be where when they start the season, they are rolling, right? We should be informed right now when the season starts and not wait till the game.
It's hard to do if you don't play them. Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to do if you don't play them. All right. So you got to play them and you try to manage their reps, like build them up. Like we talked about, first quarter. Then you get 2 quarters. Then we'll get into third quarter. We might not give you all the third quarter, but we're going to take you through the half. And now you're into the third quarter. Okay. Now then you've got enough reps. Now you can determine in that 4th game if there's anybody that you need to see.
Yes. Okay.
And if you don't need to see anybody, then you play all the young guys in that 4th game. And now you have your veterans ready to go, more ready to go in the first game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no easy answer to that because we're practicing shorts, okay, no contact. It's just you got to work around it the best you can.
Yeah. And I think also, too, in their mind, because a couple of years ago, I remember looking on the sideline and there was $150 million on the sideline. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert was all on the sideline from injuries. And I'm like, That's $150 million watching
Yeah.
the game, right? So
and the owner, he doesn't want to see that. Okay. The fans, they don't want to see that.
No.
So if it doesn't go good, they got to blame somebody.
Right.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, this is something that, like, not every day you get to talk to somebody who's won at the highest level multiple times, multiple championships, and being part of the Patriots dynasty like you were. There's something that a lot of people don't talk about as much when they talk about the Chiefs, dynasty, is the fact that having coaching continuity, right? So when you were there 01, 03, 04, and then you went to Cleveland, and then it was no coincidence, right? When you and Charlie Weiss leave, there's a bad decade break between between the Patriots winning their next Super Bowl. And with the Chiefs, every year it's like you think Spagnuolo is going to get a job. He doesn't. He sticks around as the DC. We went from Bieniemy we went from Nagy to Bieniemy back to Nagy, and it's the continuity there as far as the coaching staff. Obviously, Mahomes is still there, Kelsey's still there, Jones is still there, but the coaches, having those guys back again year after year, how much of an advantage is that for Kansas City to have that coaching continuity?
It's the same advantage when you have a veteran team that plays together and know how to win. Well, you got a coaching staff who knows how to win, knows how to coach, knows how to get the best out of them, knows how to develop the culture, particularly with the young guys coming in and indoctrinate them into the culture. So that continuity helps. It really does.
So you telling us that all of us sitting back here as fans and as former players, when we talk our talking heads, we don't know more than the coaches, and we don't know more than them?
No, you don't. because first of all, you're not spending all of those hours in the office that the coach does, all right, looking at tape, making notes, all right, drawing up plays. You're not doing all of that. Right? You're at home playing with mama and the kids.
Right. Yeah, I tell you it all the time. I said, look, I give a perspective on it. I said, as a talking head, look, the coach is going to do what they want. And they've had the cachet. They've put all the work in. They know exactly what they need to do. Like you said, the culture, and it's a standard. And there's a certain standard that certain coaches have, right? Andy does a great job. Spags does a great job. And like Marcus was saying, it is continuity. But it's a culture, and you bring guys in that fit that culture, right? That's what you need to do.
Sure,
right?
you try to do that. You try to get guys that fit that culture. All right. The only thing that's kind of screws that up a little bit is talent. Okay, because sometimes you bring a talent in that sometimes the talent think he already has all the answers. Okay, and it's harder to get him to follow what you want. All right. And so then that becomes problematic.
Yeah.
All right. But if you got the culture guys, and if they have talent, you're gonna be pretty good.
Yeah. Man.
You'll be pretty good. I mean, hey, look, all along, as long as I've been in the business, they say good players make good coaches.
That's right.
Good players make good coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as a coach, you try to develop as many good players as you can. Okay.
Coach, from one DC to another, one defense coordinator to another, what makes, obviously as Chief fans, we love Spags. We think Spags is the best thing ever. But from when you watch Spags, what makes him stand out specifically to you as a defensive coordinator, watching him draw up game plans and just seeing how things play out for the Chiefs defense?
Well, the thing about, I think, any good coordinator, he has to know his players and his talent. You know, what is he working with? He's got to understand that and know what they can do. All right, so now you can place them where you need to place them to give yourself the best advantage. The other thing that he has to do is he has to know the opponent. He has to put in the time, all right, to know the opponent,
down and distance tendencies. Okay, the offensive players, who do we need to stop? Who do they have that we need to stop? Because every team has guys that their go-to guys. So
Right.
how do we take away their go-to guys and make them go somewhere else? And generally, because they're going to go to the go-to guys, or try to anyway. And if you can take a go-to guy away and make them go to another guy that they don't usually go to, then your chances of being successful on that play are better. So I think he does a good job of knowing those things and then coming up with a scheme that he needs to come up with to call the plays by situation, by field position, by down and distance. He has to know all of those things. And when you have the experience and you've done it, it becomes a little bit easier. All right. But the work doesn't become easier. Calling the play in the right time becomes a little bit easier.
Okay. And I wonder, kind of with that, that you were saying, like getting those guys developed and getting them to understand the scheme, right? Like you said, it becomes easier for the coach, right, to put things together, but still it takes that time that you had to put into the player, the young player, to invest into them, to convey, and for them also to retain the information that you're giving them. Right. So if you have a guy that's having a hard time, remember those things. What do you do? How do you get them up to speed, Coach? What do you
I'm gonna tell you this one incident. Sante Samuel.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
When he came to us, he was, a pretty good corner now coming out. And so what we talked to him about we wanted to do is we wanted him to play inside technique so that we could take away the inside route and make them throw the ball outside. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little issue with doing that. And so in talking with him, he said, Coach, I can't see the quarterback. I said, well, look, we're trying to play this technique because we want to protect the post. And if you can take away the inside release, they're not running the post. Okay. He said, but if I could see the quarterback, I could help you more. And he was pretty adamant about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I said, look, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'll let you play outside technique. But if you get bit on the post, then you're going to go back and play inside technique. Well, he started playing outside technique, and he started intercepting the balls that they were throwing inside to try to get to the post. Okay. Yeah. And so I said, hey, as long as we can keep that done, that'll work. And so he became, not that he wasn't a good corner, but he became a better corner because he started making plays on the ball because he could see the quarterback. Now, okay, there would be some guys who wouldn't even think about letting him work on that or try that, okay, because they are set in stone. But I've got a guy who's got some ability, and he's saying, I can't see the quarterback. I need to be able to see the quarterback. And so let's try it. We didn't write it in stone that it was going to be that way all the time. Let's try it. So we tried it, and he became a pretty good corner, intercepting balls and all of those things. And so that's what you have to do when we talk about knowing your players.
Yes.
Know your players. And sometimes you might not know them right away. You might have to get to know them. But you get to know them by talking to them, listening to them, all right, and then seeing how they play.
Coach, I'm going to ask you, I know we've had you on for a while, man. I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate it. We can talk for hours, man. I can listen to you for hours, talk about scheme, getting on. You see it, I got my board up here. I don't know if you can see it, but the
keys to victory.
Yeah, keys to victory. But I got my plays and stuff over here, all my coverages, pass protection, axe games and stuff like that. I could be on the board all day with you, just putting some stuff up. I would love to do it one day. But I'm going to ask you about what do you have as far as predicting wise the NFL season? who is your top guys you think is going to come out of this whole ordeal, this whole season? Who's your favorites?
Well, okay. Well, that's all. It's all a guess, right?
It is. It is.
Basically, you're guessing because every year is a different year, and everybody starts off 0-0. Everybody starts off 0-0.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, the guys who've been there before and have done it before, in my mind, if they have a good nucleus, Kansas City. I mean, you got to have a quarterback in this business. All right. Sure. They got a quarterback. They got a defense. All right. So they're going to be at the top. I don't think that they're just going to fall off overnight. All right. So I think that they're going to be in it. They're going to be competitive because they got a lot of weapons. They got a culture. And it seems like everybody's buying into that. All right. So boom, Philadelphia, they're going to be in it. I mean, because they got a quarterback. And even though sometimes you read that they might be having this issue or that issue, but I think that they got enough that they can still be in it. Okay.
Right.
Who else did I think about? The Bills.
Okay.
The Bills. I mean, they're going to be in it.
Yeah.
They got a quarterback.
Yes.
Right? And so if you look at those guys who were there last year, chances are they're going to be competitive. Baltimore.
Yes.
Baltimore, they're going to be in it.
Yes.
Now, they haven't been able to win it, but they might win it. I mean, if you're in it, you got a chance to win it.
Right.
If you're in it, you got a chance. And so those guys who are at the top, they're going to have the chance. Now, then there's going to be some dark horse, somebody that we don't expect, all right, all of a sudden turn it around. And now who that's going to be, I'm not sure. I don't know. But somebody is going to outperform what all the prognosticators say. They're going to outperform, and they're going to have a chance to be in the mix. But I think that those top guys that I just talked about, they're going to be there in some fashion or form. All right. And then there's going to be somebody that comes out of the middle of the pack. And somebody will come out of the middle of the pack, and then they're going to be in the running.
There's a lot of talented teams out there, and I agree with you on all those points. And I see a few dark horses because it does look like there's some up and comers. They've got some talent, and it's all about how does that talent mold together, right?
Yep.
To try to achieve, some success. That's always kind of the question. Do you speak a lot now, Coach? Do you pay attention to like all the guys that's going on now, or are you really on vacation? You just kind of taking it easy.
I'm basically really on vacation.
There you go.
I tell everybody, they say, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting on my wife's nerves. And so she tries to keep me off her nerves by taking me on cruises.
There you go. Well, Coach, listen, I tell you, man, I want you to do more than that. I want you to enjoy your retirement. You deserve it, probably more than anybody else. I mean, you have put like an absolute stellar career. And I know the fans appreciate you so much. Is there anything that you might want to just tell the fans out in Kansas City, some of this Chiefs Concerned family here, anything before we get you out of here? Maybe.
Well, I know that the Kansas City fans, they are some of the best because they are pulling like hell for the Chiefs, and they have a lot to pull for right now. And so they should keep doing what they're doing to help those guys, because believe it or not, the fans do help the players on the field. They do help them with crowd noise, cheering for them. All right, all of those things are important. And if they will continue to do that, with my experience versus Mr. Mahomes, he's going to continue doing what he does.
That's right. That's right.
Coach, we had a poll on our YouTube channel in preparation for tonight's episode saying what was the most memorable Chiefs game in the Romeo Crennel era, and by 70% of the margin, most people said that the beating the undefeated Packers was the most memorable game in the Romeo Crennel era.
It was. It really was. I mean, you have to think that scenario. They were undefeated coming into Kansas City, and we weren't anybody for real. We weren't anybody for real. But the guys, they pulled together, they followed the game plan, and we tried to make it tough on Aaron. And he didn't have his normally good day, and we were able to win the game. I mean, beat an undefeated team at the end of the season too. Undefeated team at the end of the season. So I give my guys a lot of credit on that. A lot of credit.
It's good. It's good. Coach, if you will, we have a segment on the show where we've kind of opened up the airwaves. What we're going to do, if you would generously give us probably 5 more minutes, if you could, we're going to open this up. And the first person that hits on this link to speak to you, I'm going to let them ask you a question. Would you be willing to do that?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So we're going to send the link out and see who's the first one to come in and get to talk to a Hall of Fame coach. Definitely a Hall of Fame coach. Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame needs to be in Canton for sure, Coach. I'm going to be pushing for that. I don't know what I can do, Coach. I'll go hold a sign up or whatever I need to do. I will go do it. Okay.
All right.
I got your back now.
I definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. There's talented coaches, there's good coaches, there's fair coaches. I think you encompass all of those, every single one of them. And not just that, but also just a good man. And so when you speak about your peers and when people talk about you and your name comes up, man, immediately, people just go to talking about just you, just, oh my gosh, Romeo is such a this and that. And I'm like, man, you just, I feel good when I hear people talking about you like that,
Well, we know each other.
Right.
That WKU, EKU rivalry.
That's right. Yes, sir. That's right.
Appreciate each other. There you go.
So we have Delmonte Green Beans, the first one in here.
Okay.
Hello.
Delmonte, can you hear us, buddy?
We can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. I probably got to take my Bluetooth off. My bad. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. My bad, y'all. I'm on the phone. I remember.
You're breaking up a little.
Delmonte, you there, buddy? Okay. We have 2 other people in the room right now. So you want to go to our next person, JD?
We'll go to the next person.
Okay.
So, all right, DeMonte, we got next time, brother. So.
We got Yusuf in here. What's going on, Yusuf?
What's going on?
Hey,
how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Great. I'm great, man. Good seeing you. We need you back in the league, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do.
Appreciate you, JD. My question: who is your favorite player that you coached for all your team?
I've got 2 of them. I mentioned them earlier.
LT and JJ.
LT and JJ. They're both special kind of guys. And like I say, I started off with the Giants when LT was there, and he is an unbelievable player. And then I finish up with JJ, and he was at Houston, and he is a special kind of guy also. And they're both playmakers. They have an impact on the game. And so I'm blessed to have the opportunity to work with both of them.
Nice. I got one quick other question.
All right.
One quick other question. DT or LT?
Listen,
I wanted to make it tough.
Yeah, you did make it tough. All right. Well, so look, LT paid the bills for me, so I gotta go with that.
Say no more. You can't even argue that. All right, that's what's up.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming in.
And I'm all the way in New Jersey too. I'm 10 minutes away from Giant Stadium.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Oh, man. Yeah.
But I'm a diehard Chief, baby.
Man. Hey, you keep holding it down up there, okay? You make sure you get them up there.
I fight the whole New Jersey. Everybody know who I am. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, God.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too. So, okay. So, Coach, we just want to do it real quick. We usually do it like a segment we've been putting in here for people to come in, just kind of ask questions. But I'm glad, there's only far between opportunities they have a chance to actually interact and, talk to you guys. But I think what people will not be shocked of is that you are so welcoming to talk to people, and generous kind of with your time to sit down and speak with them, and you will. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, people make the world go round.
Yes, they do. They do. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, look, people are people. Sometimes it's what we just did as a professional, but people are still people. So
that's right. You said it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right, Coach. Well, listen, I just want to, we're taking more than enough of your time, Coach. I can't be more than honored. And then everybody out here too, man. I'm so thankful and just blessed that you was able to come on here and give us a spiel, man. Don't let this be the last time and say, man, Marcus and Jason have kept me out here the whole time. When you see me, I know you play Jason. Look, you didn't tell me.
But, see, Jason, I could tell that you were having a good time, so I didn't want to interrupt
that. I'm having a great time, Coach. I am. I'm having a great time, man. So
all right. So did I, Jason. Great. Marcus, I appreciate you too.
Thanks a lot, Coach. It was an honor to be able to talk to you tonight.
Okay, buddy.
All right, Coach. Listen, hey, take care. Love you. Tell the family I said hello till we see each other. Again. But hopefully, we get to talk to you soon. All right.
Okay. All right, guys. Take care.
All right.
Take care, Coach.
Good night.
Good night.
That was Romeo Crennel, everybody. Coach Crennel. That was phenomenal. That was awesome. We've had a lot of great guests on, but Romeo Crennel, I don't know. It might take the trophy for the best guest we've ever had.
Oh man, no question about it, man. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, his disposition of who he is. That's the type of man he is. And you're not gonna get any better than that. You're not. And so I just appreciate him so much for taking his time out. I hope he doesn't fuss at me next time. Like, Jason, you keep it as, so.
Yeah, when I sent him the email, I said 30 to 35 minutes. I mean, I didn't know how long we were doing for.
Well, see, I got to tell Coach. I'm like, Coach, I didn't know he said only 30 to 35 minutes. I should have kept him to that. Hey, it was when he was giving his speech, getting the award for the Blank Collier, and he was speaking. And then he started going into relating football and technique and stuff in the crowd. And so I could see some of the people were like, they're trying to get it. And I'm sitting over like this. I'm in a meeting, like listening to Coach. I'm like, go ahead, Coach. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting everything he's just flowing to me. This great stuff, like just great stuff. And that's what he does, just bestow, like you said, this wisdom upon people. Just about life, how you carry yourself, how you just persevere, just hearing the story about, walking on. I mean, come on. Yeah. This is a testament of how things should be done. And so also to the relationships he's built up over the years. You've seen the stars and the guys he has. Those guys are not going to be, now, obviously guys have talent, right? We know LT and JJ have unbelievable talent, but they're made better by a coach and a person like Romeo Crennel. That's a fact, and those guys will tell you that for sure. And I know they will never disagree with me on that. And so when you listen to guys talk about Romeo and the affinity that they have for him, man, that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes. That's how people. Go ahead.
I was going to just add to that. I mean, just when he took over as the interim head coach for the Chiefs in 2011 before he takes a job in 2012, I remember that was probably one of the first times where I saw Chiefs players use Twitter to celebrate a coach coming to Kansas City or staying and getting the head coaching job. I remember it was hashtag Rack City. I remember that so vividly, that Derek Johnson, Justin Houston, Tomba, all those guys just taking to Twitter to celebrate coach getting the job in Kansas City from going interim to being the main guy. And I remember that so vividly. And yeah, when we beat the Packers, everyone, it was acting like we won a Super Bowl of that day, putting the Gatorade on them, and everyone was just so happy. And you could just tell, coach, just being on here, class personified, and you could tell that the players really rally around him.
Absolutely. You said, man, there's none better. And I just appreciate it so much from coming out on the show, just gracing his presence out here. And so, you've seen a lot of people coming out on the chat, and a lot of people is going to be catching it a little bit later, man. There's just so many nuggets of things that people can just take with them, just not on the football field, but also in life. And so if anything, hopefully all these people, these fans is out here, these guys, blah, 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 talking about the players and whatnot. I was like, hey, listen, you can argue all you want to, but speak to somebody who's doing it, who understands it, what the process takes. It does take patience to get guys going. It does take dedication. There's a thing of responsibility there that guys have to do. And so we understand with this culture that Andy and those guys have decided to, make the standard with the Chiefs. They're going to do the things the right way. And so like Coach was sitting there saying, when teams have a particular culture and do things the right way, then you're going to have success. You're going to have it. So no, there's just wonderful stuff right there. It really is. So
yeah, I always say our show is a football 101 for a lot of fans out there, but having Coach on here tonight was like having a master's class and a PhD all in one night. So all our fans out there, hope you guys were really taking notes during that episode.
If you are in sports marketing or in coaching or whatnot, you just got a dissertation on defense and how you do things and how you create a championship team. So go back to this episode, run back through it, because you just had some really, really wonderful things that you just learned from intelligent coach, a great coach, a good-hearted man in itself. So.
Yeah, one of my best friends is a Patriots fan. He's never watched our show ever, but tonight he was. I've seen some messages from him coming through. He's like Asante was my guy, and he's just so happy watching Coach Crennel on tonight's episode. First ever episode he's ever watched of ours, but of course, Coach Crennel on.
That's all right. It warrants that. That's right. Hey man, it warrants that. I don't care what the coach. This man should be celebrated by everybody. That's for sure. So
100%.
Good stuff.
100%.
Class for sure.
Yeah, it's so many people in tonight. So before we get out of here, JD, I know it's been a long episode already, and we're going to have a show on Wednesday. I just wanted to touch on one player that has kind of made the news today, and I'm sure you saw the Felix King Felix FAU going to IR, will miss the season with a hamstring strain, is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
So there's two questions there. One, what do you think about that? And then two, a lot of people are saying the Chiefs should go get Zadarius Smith, go get a veteran edge rusher. So I guess we'll start off. I mean, what do you make of this? I mean, it's a huge blow for a guy that we were hoping in his third year would finally click for him. And now we're not even going to get him to see a week 3 in preseason for the guy with the hamstring strain, which some people are speculating that it might not actually be a thing here. I mean, that hamstring strain just seems too much of too weak of an injury. And you can speak to having hamstring. Anybody who's ever had a hamstring strain, you're out for a couple months. Some can be very severe. Ask ChatGPT about the different severities of it. But yeah, just to talk about when you heard the news come in, what did you make of that? Because for me, it kind of stung a little bit because I was hoping for year 3 to be the year where it kind of clicked for him finally. But now we're not going to see that. We won't see him till next year. What did you make of the FAU news?
First off, it's unfortunate for one. Okay, anytime a player gets hurt and he doesn't get to do what he wants to do, primarily playing football, that's a blow. That's a blow to him, not just in the physical form, but also mentally dealing with it as well. And so I just hope and pray that he's able to get back, quicker than later. And so with that being said, to even think that like this is some type of like collusion or they putting it together because you don't want to play, because this is what it sounds like, when you're asking it, the people are like, oh, is it really? Hey man, listen, he's been out there trying to get right, trying to get ready, trying to get better. And so, this is one of those setbacks. He'll be fine. And so what coach said, and which was such a great point, is look, these guys still deserve kind of your respect. They deserve, for you to cheer for them. These guys out there playing, they want to do it for you. They want to do it for, the city. They want to be able to bring in championships there. And FAU has been doing that. He has. So I think, with that being said, I just pray for a speedy recovery, man. That's what it goes down to, man. Seriously. So
yeah,
that's my big hope for a speedy recovery. That's it. Thanks, sweetie.
And yeah, I mean, that's one thing, like Andy said, these are all guys. I mean, like, guys, a first round pick from Kansas City. And like, it hasn't clicked for him yet. It was supposed to be a year 3, it's supposed to be a pivotal year for him, and the fact he's not gonna be able to play. And I know I saw someone say that it's $2 million dead money if we were to cut him. $2 million. I mean, I don't think that's. I know we make jokes about Veach being a penny pincher sometimes, but I don't think $2 million is the reason why he's not being cut here. I don't think there's any kind of weird business going on here with a hamstring injury. But Zadarius Smith's a guy that a lot of people are saying that we could have some interest in, veteran guy out there, played for the Lions last year. In the past, we have been linked to trying to attain him when he was with the Vikings a couple years back. What do you make of potentially adding a veteran guy? I saw a little while before we came on our show, Matthew Judon. Dolphins signed him to a 1-year deal, so that takes away one of those guys. But Zadarius Smith, what do you make of adding a veteran guy like that? I see it's like a Carlos Dunlap kind of move from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think you can explore those possibilities if it works, as far as, money-wise. Sure, why not? But we got capable guys that's still here. We understand that. Amina, who's over here. We got Ashton Gelati. I was on the outside as well. Mike Dannon that plays that position. So we have defensive ends. Does that mean that we shouldn't go and look at other guys? Sure. You go kick the tires on the dudes and see what they want to win a championship. I think it's what you want to do. If you want to add on to what we do, hey, have your mind right. We have a particular culture on doing things. And like Coach said, you can bring a talented guy, but how does he fit into that culture? That's great wisdom right there. And that's the truth. So when you have stars tend to always want to shine. They want to shine more than everybody else. So sometimes they want to shine even more than the team. And so I'm not saying that's who those guys are, any of those things, but I think you may have to explore those options if you wanted to. So I don't think you just necessarily take that off the table. So,
yeah. And then also, too, like the guy that we wanted, the guy we drafted, it means an expanded role for a guy like Ashton Gelati, right? Sometimes, you come into a situation, you don't know how much playing time you're going to get, but then preseason happens, training camp happens, and guys get hurt. Guys are out for the season. And now that means, well, hey, Rook, it's time to step up. And a guy that we thought could be pro ready day one, Ashton Gelati, this is as good an opportunity as you're going to get as a rookie playing on edge for the champs.
Yeah, no, and he's getting better. He's learning, what you need to do defensively. And so when he gets to that point of figuring everything out where everything becomes natural and, he can just play. He's not worrying about, responsibility and whatnot, becomes second nature. He's on the trajectory to come in and absolutely get some good playing time. But that doesn't discount if you want to bring in a veteran guy too, a veteran presence that could come in and do some things. I think that's what the Chiefs, they all figured out. And they'll do that. They got plenty of time. Those guys, they're veterans. They understand where they need to be. They can play practically in any scheme, and you can go get them, pluck them kind of at any time. So this evaluation is still a process. We got this week with the Bears, and then, of course, we got the week off or, still getting ready before we make that trip to go down there to Brazil. So I don't know, Marcus. I think different things on the table, but I do like our young talent, like you said, with Ashton Gelati. We got Chris Menahu, who's here. All those guys are hungry. They are hungry. So, I do like our young guys that we got. We got them here for a reason. And Ashton Gelati's been doing a great job showing out. He's been showing up. You see him running plays down from the backside. hey man, shoot, I think they'll figure all this out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think there's any conspiracy here of putting him on the IR just to they didn't want to cut him to save $2 million. I don't see the logic in that. But.
Yeah, first off, you don't have to cut him. Just say to me, you don't have to do any of those things. So like like you said, so I just now we'll let it all play out, man. We'll let it all play out. Shoot. I think they're gonna be all right. They're gonna make the right decision. If anything, coach just reinforced that these coaches, because of the cachet that they have, right, and the legacy and the history they got, they're gonna be able to go ahead and make the right decision, whatever they need to do.
No, I mean, edge rush is one of those positions that over the years, if you look at what Veach and Andy Reid have done, like it's, we've always been able to go get Melvin Ingrams, Carlos Dunlaps, those type of guys. I mean, over the years, we've done that. Bringing Frank Clark back, although he never actually played, he was just on the practice squad. But still, like, we were able to get those guys back, and they were able to be productive in very rotational type roles. I mean, we get Zadarius Smith. We're not getting Zadarius Smith from 10 years ago. We're getting Zadarius Smith from at 31, 32 years old, Zadarius Smith, and whatever he's got in the tank, he's a rotational guy with all the other dudes we have. So I mean, it gives us another dude to throw at quarterbacks.
Got a little gray in his beard, he come out and he's, you got to take a little bit more longer time to warm up. He's like, just hey, give me the time. So, and really, man, let me just say this. Just bring it really to the close. This ain't really the time to start pulling your hair out and worried, oh my gosh, hey man, shoot. Still in the process of development and getting guys to what we want them to be and getting them there. And so if there is a time that they feel like they need to do that, they will do so. So like I said, man, I will always default them to make the right decision. I always push it over to them. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So Kyle Harrison says, "Who said Terrell Suggs?"
I mean, that was a late veteran edge we added. It's true.
Yeah, no, added to it. I thought they meant like they're gonna try to bring Terrell Suggs back. I'm like, hold on, Terrell's.
Oh,
nah, I was like, yeah. No, we brought Terrell in. We thought it was gonna. Looks like Chris Jones, if we blitz again this year, got to have the offense be good, or we in trouble. Nah, I wouldn't say that, Kyle. We still gonna blitz. Because Spags, that's what he does. It's just what that's his scheme. So it don't matter who you have on the outside. Spags is still gonna have his blitz package, which is gonna be as complex as you could possibly get. The team's just not gonna be able to figure out. That's like one of his fortes. So regardless of that, Kyle, he's still gonna do that. So, and he should. He should.
Yeah, and you heard Coach Crennel praising Spags, saying he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's working with. So that's nice praise coming from Coach Crennel.
Yeah. So,
but all right, guys.
That's Marcus. Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful night.
It was an awesome episode of having Coach Crennel come on. It was a nice treat. We saw a lot of people come in and on this Monday night. So we hope everybody enjoyed the episode and the conversation with Coach Crennel, the master's class that we were the doctorate that kind of displayed for you guys tonight with the Coach Crennel and JD bouncing ideas off each other tonight. Loved it. To be front row seat for it. Loved it. But yeah, we'll see you guys Wednesday night. And JD, take us away, brother.
I had to tell Romeo too. I said, "Hey man, look, we didn't mean to keep that long, but I said next time we do the 30 minutes, the 30 minutes next time." So hopefully it's not Coach's last time on the show. We're gonna ask him. I'm sure it wouldn't be. I'm sure he'd be gracious enough to come back on here as well to speak.
No, he didn't seem antsy. Usually we'll have guys on here. If it is taking too long, you can be able to tell with the interviews. And usually when guys come on, they give us their whole night they want to. I don't think we've ever had a person who's upset about being on the show for a long time. But yeah, usually you can tell if someone's antsy. I didn't get the vibe from Coach, unless Coach is hiding it well.
Hold on. Well, regardless of any of, we just thank him. We are so gladdened by his presence and him coming on the show. So if y'all didn't get to check it out, y'all just coming in. Go back and see the episode. It's a wonderful time. We covered a lot of different stuff. But man, I'm telling you, you're talking about some nuggets. You want to hear about football. You want to this episode and many other episodes that we're doing. So we're going to keep bringing these things to you guys. That's what we're going to keep doing. And so we appreciate y'all coming on. I see there's a lot of people here in the chat. I thank you all support for coming in and come seeing us in this episode, listening to Coach, letting us talk a little bit of football. But hopefully this gives y'all a little bit of perspective, seeing some things behind the scenes, just talking, a lot of wisdom about how the process works preseason wise. He did a great job of everything. I mean, daggone, just straight out the park. And it was you said was like, man, we'd like to have you back coaching. And that mind is still sharp. You can see he could come in immediately and make an impact. But Coach is like, I'm done. I know he said he took his trip out to Iceland. He enjoyed it. So, Coach, we want you to enjoy your time. But with that being said, I just want to tell everybody here, once again, thank you all for coming in. Appreciate it. Listen, y'all just be good to one another. Y'all take care. God bless. There's a lot of people in here. Justin Blackwell, Faith Smith, About Time, Greg Rose, Jason Tarbach, Joe E, Jason Dunn, Kyle Harrison. That's my baby. Jason, it's one of my girls right there. It's my daughter. The barbershop, Sasha, Wendy. What's up, Wendy? What's going on, Wendy? I ain't seen Wendy in a long time. It seemed like, I don't know, Wendy, hope you're doing well. Sim McBride, About Time, like I said before, Lars Zingser, Cal Harrison. I see Nana Sherry. Charles Harmon, Optimistic James, Demonic Green Beans, man. Yeah, he was lost. Oh, we get
you back. You had a shot. You had a window, man. You had a window. You blew it.
Next time, brother. Next time, okay? We'll get you. Let me see. Hearts and Roses, Will, Stu, Saltzman. What's up, Stu? Everybody, I want y'all to put in prayers and tell Stu, send some good energy and stuff out to Stu. Stu's in the hospital at this moment, sitting over here. He's getting better. No, he's getting better. So some positive things. But, sometimes you feel lonely. So, Stu, hey, everybody, I want everybody to tell Stu, hey, Stu, hope you're doing well. Okay, so this is love from us, the Chief Concerns, going out to Stu. All right, so all the Chief Concerns family, see y'all here, Stu. We're sending you the best, my brother. We're sending you love, blessings, and prayers your way, my brother, okay?
Much love, Stu. Get better soon, buddy. Get better soon,
yes,
my man.
Yes, sir. I'm the Brown Linda Hunter. C. McBride. Sweetie was on here. Demonic, like we said before. Let me see. Who else we got on here? Faye Smith. Man, there's a lot of people on here. Well, Don Peterson, Throwback Harris. Excuse me. Barbershop. Let me see. Terrell. I see that name. Terrell McIntosh. Okay. Terrell McIntosh. Like I said, listen.
I want to make one more note, JD. I know you're talking to a lot of people who are on. I want to commend and praise everybody who ended up watching our episode, our post-game reaction episode. Like I said, our week one, we had like 5,300 people watched our week one episode of post-game reaction. Week two of preseason, I think we're at like 6,500 or 7,500 people have watched that episode, making this already the most watched post-game reaction shows we've had in any preseason so far. So it seems like it's going to be a record-breaking type of year for Chief Concerns as far as our post-game reaction shows and all of our shows and content. So we appreciate all you guys, the ones who stayed up late with us till 3 a.m. on Friday night or Saturday morning, and the ones who watched it over the weekend. We love all you guys.
Well, appreciate you and love you all for that, man. And help us out too, man. Go ahead, give us a thumbs up and a like and a heart and a love, I guess, for the algorithm. I'm thinking that, I'm trying to learn all the algorithm and stuff like that, how it happens, man. So we would appreciate any of that, if you will. Chiefs, Stanley Mooney as well. Justin Blackwell, About Time for the money. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Jason Tarbach, ding-a-ling-a-ling. Chief, Greg Rose. Jason Dunn, ching-a-ling-a-ling. Thank you, baby. Joe C. Let me see. Trad View. Adam Six. Mike Brennan. Let me see. Hippie Cypriot was here. Day Yo was in here as well. See, Faye Smith. Did I say Faye Smith? Deshaun Hammonds. Appreciate it, my brother. Listen, that's everybody. Listen, if I didn't get to tell you thank you or bye, I'm letting you guys know right now, and I didn't get to say your name. Listen, y'all take care of each other the way you're supposed to. Love one another the way we're supposed to. That's the way it's supposed to do. Let's become better people together. My brother Marcus, love you, man. We will see you on Wednesday. Talk a little bit about this game coming up against those Bears. Should be a great time. Go back and see this episode. You will not be disappointed whatsoever. So with that being said, man, we will see y'all later. Love you guys. Love y'all Chiefs concerns and everybody else out here watching this. Your boy out there in New England too, man. Appreciate you for tuning in. All right.
Yeah.
With that being said, man, y'all take care. We'll see y'all later. Marcus, my brother. Love you, man.
Love you, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Love you guys. See you Wednesday. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.